Mia adjusted her simple floral dress nervously as she glanced around the cafe. She wasn't one for blind dates, but her best friend had insisted she give it a try. He's not rich, but he's decent, her friend had said. She just hoped decent meant he wouldn't make her pay the bill. Mia worked as a receptionist at a small company and barely made ends meet. After losing her parents young and supporting her younger brother through school, she hadn't had much time, or money, for romance. As she checked her reflection in her phone camera one more time, a tall man in a crisp black suit walked in. His presence immediately drew attention. People turned, whispering. He was elegant, composed, and had the aura of someone used to commanding a room. Mia's heart raced. Wow, she whispered. He's definitely not what I expected. When their eyes met, he smiled slightly and walked toward her table. Mia, he asked. His voice was deep, confident. Yes, you must be Daniel, she said, standing up and offering her hand. He blinked, clearly surprised, but then smiled politely. Yes, Daniel. They sat down. The waitress arrived, and Mia nervously ordered a coffee. He, however, ordered a black espresso and looked at her with quiet amusement. So, Mia, he began, tell me about yourself. She chuckled awkwardly. Well, I'm nothing special. Just a receptionist trying to survive city life. His brow furrowed slightly. Receptionist, yes, she said quickly, embarrassed. I know, not glamorous. But it pays the bills. What about you? He hesitated for a moment. I manage a few businesses, he said vaguely. Oh, so you're in management too? She smiled. That's cool. I bet you're tired of dealing with difficult bosses. He chuckled. You have no idea. The conversation flowed more easily than either expected. Mia's honesty, her humor, and her lack of pretension seemed to intrigue him. Unlike most people he met, she didn't try to impress him. She didn't know who he really was, Ethan Carter, billionaire CEO of the very company where she worked. When she mentioned her workplace, his eyes twinkled. Wait, you work at Carter Enterprises? Yeah, she said, rolling her eyes. The CEO is some billionaire genius who never even shows his face in the office. Probably too important for us mortals. Ethan nearly laughed out loud but bit his lip to stay composed. I'm sure he has his reasons, he said. Mia grinned. Maybe, but if I ever meet him, I'll tell him his elevators need fixing. Their laughter echoed across the cafe. By the end of the date, Ethan found himself enchanted. For once, someone liked him, not his money, not his reputation, but simply the man he appeared to be. As they said goodbye, Mia smiled warmly. You're not what I expected, Daniel. I had fun today. So did I, Ethan replied softly. More than you know. He watched her walk away, still smiling to himself. But Mia didn't know that the next morning, her entire world was about to change, when she'd walk into her office and discover the man she thought was her cheap blind date sitting at the head of the boardroom table. Mia barely slept that night. Her mind replayed every detail of the previous evening, his calm voice, his smile, his eyes when he looked at her. But now, knowing the truth, it all felt like a cruel joke. The next morning, she walked into the office on trembling legs. Everyone was unusually quiet, nervous. The air itself seemed heavier. Her friend Lisa hurried over, whispering, "You won't believe it, the CEO's in today." Ethan Carter himself. Mia forced a shaky smile. Yeah, I heard. Before Lisa could say anything else, the conference room door opened. And there he was, Ethan Carter, the man from last night, her blind date. Her heart stopped. He was dressed impeccably in a charcoal suit, every movement commanding authority. Yet, when his eyes found hers, she saw something unexpected, softness. Recognition. Mia felt the room spin. I went on a blind date with my boss. The billionaire boss. She ducked her head and focused on her desk, trying to hide her burning face. But throughout the meeting, she could feel his gaze drift toward her. It wasn't anger. It was something else, something she didn't dare define. The awkward confrontation. At lunchtime, as she tried to sneak out toward the elevator, she heard his voice. Mia. Her heart jumped. She turned slowly, her hands clutching her bag. Mr. Carter. He smiled faintly. I think we should talk. I don't think that's necessary, she stammered. Last night was a misunderstanding. I didn't know who you were. He interrupted gently. You thought I was your blind date. I know. She bit her lip, humiliated. I'm so sorry, sir. I swear, I wasn't trying to. Ethan raised his hand lightly. You don't have to apologize. Honestly, I should be thanking you. She blinked in confusion. Thanking me for treating me like a normal man, he said quietly. It's been a long time since anyone did that. Mia stared at him, unable to speak. He continued, let's grab lunch. Just to clear the air. Her first instinct was to say no, it would only make things worse, but there was something in his tone that disarmed her. So she nodded. They went to a small restaurant a few blocks away. No luxury, no paparazzi, just simple food and two people trying to navigate an impossible situation. For the first few minutes, neither spoke. Then Mia sighed. You must think I'm ridiculous. Ethan chuckled softly. Not at all. I think you're honest. And brave. Most people pretend around me. You didn't. She looked down. That's because I didn't know I was talking to a billionaire. And that, he said with a smile, is exactly why I enjoyed it. Mia couldn't help but laugh, even through her embarrassment. Somehow, his calm made everything feel less awkward. An unexpected friendship. Over the next few weeks, things between them changed, subtly but unmistakably. Ethan would occasionally stop by the reception desk, pretending to ask about company schedules, but always staying a little longer than necessary. Good morning, Mia, he'd say. And she'd roll her eyes with a small smile. Checking if your elevators work yet, Mr. Carter. Just making sure my employees aren't late, he'd tease back. Their conversations became the quiet highlight of Mia's days. But soon, whispers began to spread. One morning, Lisa whispered, everyone's talking, Mia. They say you've caught the boss's eye. Mia froze. That's ridiculous. Lisa shrugged. You two have lunch together more than anyone else in the building. Mia brushed it off, until she was summoned to our. The rumors and the fall. The HR manager sat stiffly, avoiding her eyes. Ms. Lopez, there have been complaints. Concerns about favoritism. Mia's stomach dropped. What? But that's not true. Nothing's happening between us. I understand, the manager said curtly. But perception matters. Please be careful. When she left the room, she could feel the judgmental stares following her. The whispers that once amused her now cut deep. That night, she stayed late at her desk, tears blurring her vision as she typed. The dream job she'd worked so hard for was turning into a nightmare. Ethan found her there, shoulders trembling. Mia, he said softly, what happened? She quickly wiped her face. Nothing. I was just finishing some reports. He frowned. You've been crying. It's just, people are saying things. That I'm with you because you're rich. That I'm using you. Her voice cracked. I can't do this, Ethan. I don't belong in your world. He took a slow breath. Listen to me. Don't let their jealousy define you. You've done nothing wrong. But you don't understand, she said desperately. You can survive gossip. I can't. Ethan stepped closer. His voice softened. Then I'll fix it. The letter and the silence. The next morning, the entire company received a memo. Greater than, no employee should be judged or disrespected based on rumors or associations. Merit alone defines your worth at Carter Enterprises. Ethan Carter, CEO. The message was clear, and people stopped whispering, at least in public. But for Mia, the damage was done. That night, she sat at her small apartment desk and wrote her resignation letter. Greater than dear Mr. Carter, thank you for everything. I've learned so much here. But I think it's time for me to move on. Please don't try to convince me otherwise. Mia Lopez. The next morning, she placed the envelope on his desk before anyone arrived. Then she walked out, her eyes brimming with tears. The search. Days turned into a week. Ethan couldn't focus. Every meeting felt meaningless, every report dull. His world, once filled with power and purpose, suddenly felt empty. His assistant finally said, Sir, maybe you should just talk to her. And that's exactly what he did. He searched through HR records, found her address, and drove to the edge of the city, to a small coffee shop with peeling paint and a hand-painted sign, Bean and Bloom. Inside, behind the counter, Mia was taking orders, her hair tied back, her smile tired but genuine. Ethan stood there for a moment, just watching her. Then, when she turned and saw him, the color drained from her face. Mr. Carter. Ethan, he corrected softly. Please, you shouldn't be here, she whispered. If people see you, I don't care who sees me, he said firmly. I care about you. She looked away. You have no idea what my life's been like since I left. Then tell me, he said. Let me make it right. Her voice trembled. You can't fix this. You're a billionaire, Ethan. You live in a world I'll never belong to. He took a step closer, his eyes steady. Then I'll bring my world to yours. She blinked in disbelief. What are you saying? I'm saying, he said, pulling an envelope from his coat, that I want you to help me build something new. Something that matters. The foundation of hope. Mia hesitated, opening the envelope. Inside was a letter, official, embossed, and signed by him. Greater than the Carter Foundation for Education and Opportunity. Director. Mia Lopez. Her jaw dropped. What is this? It's real, Ethan said. A foundation to help kids like your brother, the ones who can't afford school, who work twice as hard for half the chances. You told me your story, remember? You inspired this. Tears welled up in her eyes. Ethan, I don't know what to say. Say yes, he whispered. Work with me, not as my employee, as my partner. Mia shook her head, overwhelmed. You could have hired anyone. I didn't want anyone, he said, his voice soft but steady. I wanted you. Her heart raced. And what about us? He smiled faintly. That depends on whether you'll forgive me for not telling you who I was that night. A small laugh escaped her lips, tears still streaming. Maybe I will, but only if you promise to never pretend to be my blind date again. Deal, he said with a grin. A year later, the foundation grew faster than anyone expected. Mia poured her heart into it, traveling to schools, organizing scholarships, helping children chase dreams she once thought impossible. Ethan was by her side through it all, supportive, proud, in awe of her compassion. One evening, at the foundation's first anniversary gala, reporters surrounded them, cameras flashing. Ms. Lopez, how does it feel to go from receptionist to director? One asked. Mia smiled gracefully. It feels like a dream I never dared to dream. Another reporter shouted, and Mr. Carter, is it true you two are dating? Ethan slipped his hand into hers and smiled. Let's just say, sometimes the best business decisions start with the right mistake. Laughter rippled through the crowd. But for Mia, it was more than a line, it was the truth. The proposal. Later that night, after everyone left, Ethan led her to the rooftop of the foundation building. The city lights glittered below like a million stars. He turned to her, suddenly nervous. You once told me you believed in fate, he said. Do you still? She smiled. I believe in second chances. And accidents that feel like destiny. He took a deep breath, reached into his pocket, and pulled out a small velvet box. Mia Lopez, he said softly, kneeling, you mistook me for your blind date, but you ended up showing me what love truly means. Will you marry me? Tears spilled down her cheeks as she covered her mouth. Yes, she whispered. 1,000 times yes. He slipped the ring onto her finger, and she threw her arms around him. Somewhere below, the city buzzed with life, unaware that two hearts had just found their forever. Epilogue. Months later, newspapers carried the headline. Greater than, billionaire Ethan Carter marries former receptionist Mia Lopez, a love born from a beautiful mistake. When people asked Mia how it all began, she would smile and say, it started with the wrong man, a cheap blind date, and a mistake that changed my life forever.